Hello, hello. How we doing? Oh, hello, 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 hello. Oh, it's late. It's getting late here in the UK, isn't it? Good morning. Yes, good morrow, everyone. Good morrow. Am I ready? Oh, I don't know if I am, to be perfectly honest with you. I've been trying to get my body clock ready, and I feel like I'm a bit all over the place. So, but good to see you, everyone. Hey, JT, Vegas looks so boring in a day. It really does, doesn't it? Yeah, first practice session, of course. The sessions have been brought forward a couple of hours, or the whole schedule has been from the previous 2 times that we've been here. So yeah, the first practice sessions on the Thursday and Friday if you're in the US. They are, yeah, what are they, like 6 o'clock, something like that, 5 p.m. late afternoon. So, but good to see you. Have I got a coffee? No, TC, I'm not. No, because I'll be... So, change of plans. I still have a very busy day at work tomorrow. I still have one more working day. And I was going to do FP3, but I need my beauty sleep, man. I need my sleep. I have a lot to do tomorrow. So, I need to... Straight after this, I'll be going to bed. So if I have a coffee now, it's going to completely screw me over. But no, I'm looking forward to at least getting the weekend underway with FP1. And then, of course, we'll be back for... The weekend is where I can really catch up with sleep, of course. I have the luxury of being able to sneak a cheeky little nap in the day or something. As long as the missus is okay, looking after the little one. But when will the race start? On Sunday. So Sunday UK time, it starts at 4 a.m. in the morning. So for the majority of Europe, that's what, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So for those of you that are on the eastern side of the world, you have a nicely timed race. And even for obviously those of you in the majority of the US as well, it's kind of like a very late evening race. But yeah, for us in the in Europe, it's not very nice. But it is what it is. Like, look, we have it good for the majority of the year, don't we, guys? No worries, Stevo. 8:25 a.m., 8:26 p.m. Yeah, it's all over the place. All over the place. But welcome, everyone. Appreciate you all for tuning in. FP1 about to get underway. I haven't got my timer on, but we are just over 2 minutes away until FP1 gets underway here at Vegas. So let's see what is going to occur. 14 degrees Celsius is the track temperature. The air temperature. Track temperature is 18 degrees, as you can see there, 18.8. So that's sub 20 degrees, and it's only going to get colder as the evening falls. So all the way from India, good to see you. Sunsets in Vegas are 4:30. Really, 4:30? That's like it here in the UK, JT. It's dark at 4:30. I go to work in the dark, and I come home in the dark. It's a great time of year. Did it stop raining? It has stopped raining. I mean, I'm looking at the TV coverage though. There are some dark clouds over in the distance around Vegas, and they did say that Friday was going to be a day, or Thursday/Friday was the day where there would be rain. So maybe we'll get that, but I think for the most part it's going to stay dry. And the thing is, at Vegas, obviously all the social media images that you've seen, that's the nature of Vegas, is that if it rains, everything kind of floods briefly and then it just quickly disappears. So finally, a proper race day at a good time. I know. Enjoy it, guys. Enjoy it, because then we go back to normality for the last 2 race weekends, because this is the first of a triple header, guys. If you're unfamiliar, if you didn't view my preview for this weekend, yes, we have Vegas this weekend. We then have Qatar, which is a sprint race. And then, of course, we end the season in Abu Dhabi. So 3 race weekends in a row. Happy days. And then a very long time until we get racing again, or at least testing again. A couple of months, isn't it? So December, January, and then it'll be what? When's testing? End of February? Isn't it like the last week in February or last couple of weeks in February is when we have testing? So that's going to be interesting. Would you rather watch it at midnight than midday? Yeah. So here we go, green light. Pit exit is open. So that is the session underway. And well, I guess what tyres are we going to see used in this opening session? I suspect we're going to see the hard compound tyre used to start off with, just because they will want to save the softs and the mediums. Or maybe not, as Isaac Hadjar has instantly proven me wrong there by going out on a set of mediums. But the hard compound tyre, I don't suspect will be used here this weekend. The track's just not... The track just isn't suitable enough for it. It doesn't get hot enough. We've already discussed in the preview that tyre warm-up here is a big issue. And, yeah, the hard compound tyre is just not going to be suitable. So... Vegas Qatar doubleheader is rough back-to-back, yeah, especially for the jet lag and so forth. It's a quick turnaround, and people underestimate the toll it can take on the drivers' bodies as well, having that sort of jet lag. So obviously they are human after all. There is a big human element. Of course, I know they've been doing the AI racing recently in what was it, Abu Dhabi again, but the human element is still obviously very important. It's what keeps us going. Hey, Stephen, all the way from Australia. Oh, nice. Was it nice? You having a nice bacon sandwich right now? Sausage sandwich. Prepping to watch the Ashes as well. Lots of good sport in the closing stages of this year. Vegas would actually be a good sprint race weekend. I think it would, because it is one of those tracks that, look, ultimately, we want sprint races at track where overtaking is possible. Singapore is not a track where you can overtake. That is going to be the worst sprint race weekend. That is the worst decision ever. Taking away Brazil and giving Singapore a sprint race weekend next year is just blasphemous. And then we have Brazil being taken away. We know that provides good racing, and that's been taken away, which is ridiculous. Vegas provides racing, so give it to Vegas. But of course, F1 is the promoter of this track. That's why you see lots of social media posts and marketing for it, and it means it's more money that money that they would not be getting from another promoter for a sprint race. So unless they add an extra sprint race weekend to this one, but they sell basically the sprint races to the highest bidder, don't they? Hence why we're going to Singapore. I mean, there's no other reason why we are having one at Singapore. Brazil's gone for next year. Not the race. The race is still there, but the sprint race. So since sprint races have been introduced, Brazil has had one every single year, but it's being taken away next year. So, was it Ocon or someone last year who was super sick after the last 3 races last year because of all the travelling? It would. Don't remember that story, JT, but it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Even traveling, obviously, on all private jets and things like that, it's still getting used to the time zones and traveling and so forth. Obviously, germs and things like that. Like it takes its toll on the body. I think FIA just wants to get rid of fans at this point because of their print choices. Singapore sprint in the daytime is going to be absolutely nuts for the drivers. I went to Singapore a few months ago, and during the day, I was sweating like crazy. It's also not that. It's also that as well, JT. It's the fact of that they stay on European time in Singapore, so they're up throughout the evening, throughout the night time. So you're really gonna screw up with the drivers' bodies and their body clocks when it comes to obviously a sprint race, having a sprint race earlier on in the day and so forth. I mean, I guess it's obviously only replacing a practice session, so it's maybe not that big of a deal. But still, it's a competitive session that they normally wouldn't be participating in. Would rather two weekends at Brazil than some other tracks. Oh, 100%, Tox. Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, Unfortunately, the tracks, there's plenty of other racetracks in the world that have previously been on the F1 calendar that are no longer there, that would provide great racing for these modern F1 cars. And Alex Albon, I've referenced it a few times, but he did an interview with Matt and Tommy at P1, and he said he did like a winners stays on type thing with racetracks. And Circuit of the Americas was up there till the very end, Interlagos, Silverstone. And the reason why, he said, is because the tracks are wide enough that you can take multiple different lines into corners. So you can find pockets of clean air and make sure that you're not following in the dirty air. There's not a single line like there is through a lot of race circuits now, not just street circuits, but also some traditional race circuits that aren't as wide. And that's why we get such good racing. And we need more tracks like that, the likes of Istanbul, the likes of Sepang in Malaysia. Like those tracks, you're able to find pockets of clean air. Of course, the regs are changing next year, where we'll hope there's less dirty air, and there always is in the first year of a new set of regulations, but still they're much better than just like processions, where it's just all about qualifying. Love seeing Lewis with a positive attitude today. I think he always starts the weekend with a positive attitude. It's as the weekend goes on and they go session by session that his attitude just starts to change. Miss Sepang so much. I know I do as well. And the thing is with Sepang is that it was very similar conditions to Silverstone and Interlagos. One of the other things that makes Interlagos and Silverstone so great is that you can have scorching conditions there where the tyres are taking an absolute pounding, or you can have obviously the changeable conditions with the wet weather. And Sepang was exactly like that as well. And I tell you, it's just such a shame that we don't go there anymore. Anyone else knows that the circuit looks like Spider Pig from The Simpsons? Yeah, that was one of the things, wasn't it? Spider Pig does whatever Spider Pig does. What's my favourite circuit? Personally, it's Silverstone. British bias in full effect here, but yeah, Silverstone. I love racing it in the sim, and I just think it's a track that just always provides. It always provides, and I think it's just built for Formula One. It's the speed, the corners, and I've been fortunate enough to not see F1 there, but I saw the World Endurance Championship there. It was the last year where the LMP1s were participating, and that was the year that they were as quick as an F1 car. And yeah, it was phenomenal to see those cars go around that track through Copse, through into Brooklands, through Magnus and Beckett. It's like it was great. But yeah, it's interesting. So the night time is starting to fall. The lights are coming on in Vegas as I'm watching it right now, and we can see that everyone out there except from Nico Hulkenberg is on the hard compound tyre. So I thought we would see the hard compound tyre used more for this weekend in these sessions, but clearly not. They're using the mediums at the moment. Alonso's the only driver out there on the softs. Now, if you didn't tune into my preview, my prediction is that Max Verstappen is going to win this race here this weekend because that Red Bull is very good on a low downforce package. It has dominated pretty much all of the race circuits where a low downforce setup is required. And to add to the advantage that the Red Bull has as well is that he has a brand new power unit in the car, which is one of the main reasons he was able to make it from the pit lane to P3 in Brazil. While it was a great drive, and I don't want to take anything from Max Verstappen because you still need to get the job done out on track, that is a significant advantage over the rest of the field. Of course, the car was specifically set up for the race as well. There was no compromise because of the changes that they made overnight. So that in Brazil at this stage of the season, putting a brand new engine in the back of the car is a massive advantage, just as it was also for Lewis Hamilton back in 2021. So, yeah, when others, of course, have considerably used engines by this point and are down on horsepower. So I expect him to be dominant here. And we know as well when we've come to race circuits throughout this season where there isn't much concern about tyre deg, then the Red Bull is supreme compared to that of everyone else. So, well, I say supreme. It's specifically on low downforce setups, but it is able to match the McLaren if there's medium to high speed corners in particular. But there are medium to high speed corners here because you only have turns 10 and 11 really, which is high speed corner. Turn 6 is medium, but it's a lot of obviously slow corners out right angles and so forth. I think Norris would have him first, Oscar second, then Max third because he knocks out Max from the title and gets third from Oscar. Not saying that's going to happen. You want Kimi to win. Yeah, the Mercedes are going to be strong. This is a track that just seems to suit them. Of course, they won last year. The cars are very different here last year. So the results last year are not going to be indicative of what we see here this year because the cars are a lot different and they're considerably quicker. So, but Mercedes have done well at this type of circuit as well. As I said, I think you really, other than the track conditions being so cool, you need to really just, if you want a benchmark to look at, you want to look, oh, Jesus, Lewis Hamilton got very close there. Oof. Oh, my goodness. Lewis Hamilton getting the back end of that Ferrari out. It's not Tokyo Drift, Lewis, but that's obviously the cold tyres. Still trying to get those up to temperature, no doubt. 18.5 degrees is the track temp right now. Super cool as Yuki slots into P2. But going back to what I was saying, yeah, Baku, I think you have to look at the track characteristics are very similar to Baku. Street circuit, of course, bumpy as well. And the McLaren, it's something that I did kind of fail to mention in my preview, is that the McLaren does struggle over the bumps and over the curbs. And that was evident in Singapore. Baku, of course, where there's even more emphasis on top speed. And yeah, not to say that Sainz and Liam Lawson of the RB are going to finish up there, but I think in relation to Max, as he jumps up to P2, and George and Kimi, I think you look at them, they're going to be strong here because of like what we've seen already. This is a good circuit for Ferrari. So on paper, it should be. Yes. However, that Ferrari, look, we're round 22 of a 24 race season. I think we have seen enough of Ferrari this year now to go, yeah, they may be able to get a decent qualifying lap out of it, but they can't go a whole race distance without lift and coast at some point. And let's say they could do half a race distance, 3/4 of a race distance without lift and coast, because they find themselves in a forward position. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point, even with the cooler track conditions that we have here and the air temperature. And I do not have any faith whatsoever, and I don't think you should either, that they have a race car. That's it. They might be able to get it on the front row, and I expect Charles, who has always gone well here, I expect Charles to be up there pushing maybe the front row. But when it comes to the race, I have literally no expectations. I do have expectations, but they're not good expectations. They are the expectation that they will just fall away. As Charles goes fastest with a 37.4. Same as Lewis as well. Love Hamilton's helmet. It is really good, isn't it? It's really snazzy. Very glitterball-esque, isn't it? Or Diamante-esque on his helmet. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on social media, guys. So, at the moment, Norris, Santinelli into P4 there. Norris P9, Piastri P12. So, remember, this isn't going to be the one representative session, guys. FP2 is always the representative session because of the time that it is set. So qualifying and the race, of course, is held at the similar time in the afternoon as what FP2 is. So the track conditions are going to get cold. You can see 18.5 degrees now. So it will fall throughout this session. Max has gone fastest in the first. Oh, you have a yellow flag. Gasly, has he just gone off? I think Gasly might have just gone off. Or has he gone into the escape road there? So turn 12, if you remember, is where we have seen Lando Norris go off in the first year when we arrived at Vegas, where we also saw George Russell collide with Max Verstappen as well. And we see lots of lockups down into turn 12. It's very similar because the track falls away from you. It's a corner that's very similar to turn 15. As, Gasly just took to the escape road. So it's not as severe, but it's a track that's very akin to turn 15. You know, where Charles Leclerc has ended up in the barrier constant amount of times in Baku. So it's very similar like that. And that's where, of course, the fronts just lock up and it's tricky to turn in. But Pierre Gasly, that's all he did there. He just spun the car around, and maybe George Russell has done the same. I think George Russell has just done the same as well there, right on cue. So even though the icon is indicating that on the track map that they are beyond turn 12, it actually means that they've gone straight on. So George Russell also has done the same. So that's something that drivers need to be careful of. But currently 6 tenths separates Verstappen and Tsunoda at the top of the timing screens. Woo. Does Oscar Piastri have a new helmet as well? He does, yes. Yeah. Special one for this one. Ferrari P5, P6 might be the limit, honestly. No. Maybe. I still expect that they could probably score a podium. I think there's still a possibility there for them in that regard, but they just don't have the, as I said, they just don't have the car to be able to push for anything more than that. They need some significant carnage ahead of them for any sort of chance of a race win, to be honest with you. If there's one team I wanted to drive for next year, who would I choose? Getting away from this Grand Effect era would be Mercedes for me. I think so. I think if there's one team, you want to be in, it would be Mercedes for next year. Only the sole reason is just it's a fresh reset, and the last team to get the last engine regulation change back in 2014, was Mercedes. So you would bank, and the Mercedes power unit, even in this regulation set, the Mercedes power unit has been a very good power unit. It has been, I would say, overall better than Honda, on par, most definitely. You could maybe there's the argument to say it has been better. I would probably say it's been better. But yeah, it's definitely not been a weakness, is it? We all know that it's there's a lot of emphasis on the aero package, and that's where Mercedes have massively fumbled with just like the aero and the chassis and the suspension and how that all connects. But the one thing they haven't got wrong is the power units. Welcome though, everyone. Hope you're well. Welcome to everyone tuning in this Friday morning. Thursday evening for those of you in the US, but this Friday morning here in the UK now, as it is 10 to 1, approaching 1 a.m. here. So Oscar Piastri set the fastest last sector there. But yeah, I just a bit of an update, guys. I will not be doing FP2 later on, as it is at 4 a.m. local time for me, and that's just too early in the morning with another day of work ahead of me. Not the full-time job yet, as I keep saying, maybe in the future, but yeah, just can't. I need that beauty sleep. But of course, I'll be here for qualifying, which is at 4 a.m. Tomorrow. So I'll be here for every session tomorrow. What if Ferrari double DNF again? Then expect another John Elkann interview comment that we'll be all reporting on in the week. Trace, you work for one of the Merc sponsors and all the execs are there for the weekend. You're so jealous. Well, I mean, if there's one race, there's a couple of races, but yeah, I imagine Vegas is a right old... Oh, hang on. Isaac Hadjar, I have a stone flying around the cockpit. Now I don't know where it is, but it went under my leg and came back in the pedal. Ugh, that's not great. A stone in Vegas? There's no gravel in Vegas. But yes, yeah, I imagine the hospitality and everything surrounding F1 in Vegas is pretty handy when it's all corporate and paid for. Do I think Max will have a chance to win the championship at this stadium? No. I think his championship hopes have gone now. Never say never. But look, he needs to win basically every race. I don't see that happening in that Red Bull. Qatar and Abu Dhabi are definitely McLaren tracks where they fall into the strengths of the McLaren and more so the weaknesses of the Red Bull. This is very much so a Red Bull track. And it also requires not only Max winning every race, but also Norris having DNFs. And I just don't see that happening. So hearing that 4 a.m. start makes me upset, but us folk in the UK have it so well. Exactly, mate. That's why I'm not complaining. I'm trying my best, guys. I'm trying through gritted teeth. I'm trying not to complain. Oh, Charles at top of the timing screens, 35.9. Am I a dog or cat person? I'm going to say either. I'm both, basically. I've had dogs and I've had cats. So I currently have a cat. I don't have a dog because having a dog, anyone who has a dog, it's like having another child. And it's a lot of responsibility. And cats are obviously a lot more independent. And with a 1-year-old, just over a 1-year-old, yes, having a dog would be like having a second child. So flying pothole this year, hopefully not. Though they sorted that out. You left for work at 3:45 a.m. today. Oof, it's doable, but you don't recommend. No. As I said, I've got to travel into work. I've got to get on the train, and then I've got actually a busy Friday. Normally my Fridays are a bit chill. I get all my work done. I get the majority of my work done so that my Friday is a bit more relaxed. But yes, I definitely have quite a bit of work to do tomorrow. So I don't want to be doing that on no sleep. If I could drop one track from the calendar and replace it with anyone from history, what would those 2 tracks be? You just said 1 track. And then you want me to replace it with 2 tracks. Guys, what's the track that I absolutely can't stand? So many of you will be thinking Monaco would be many people's go-to, but I really, really can't stand Mexico. I really can't stand Mexico. I just think it's such a dire track. And look, obviously there was some... It took us the first time in, 6 years since it came back for us to have a decent race there. And even then, it was just like it was farcical, really, in Mexico this year, of course, with all the corner cutting and so forth. So it wasn't really necessarily for the wheel-to-wheel racing element of things that we were discussing Mexico. So, yeah, I'd love to see that track go, regardless of the atmosphere. And I'd love to see Sepang, we spoke about earlier, Sepang back or Istanbul. I think those are 2 tracks that deserve to be on the calendar. What else could I remove, actually? I know there's a couple of tracks I'm not a fan of. I'd like to see less street tracks, so I would like to see... what tracks are boring? Oh, it's a yellow again. Lance Stroll off. I think Singapore's quite boring. I think Qatar is also... actually, do you know what I'd love to see disappear? The one track I'd love to see disappear, I would love to see Abu Dhabi disappear. Get rid of Abu Dhabi. I don't think that track gets talked about enough in relation to how poor it actually is. Have we actually had, removing the last lap and the controversy, of course, with 2021, but actually just think about it. Think about the actual races that we've had in Abu Dhabi. Is there any that you can remember, excluding the last lap in 2021, because even the race itself, is there any race there that you properly remember as a banger? and go, wow, what a finale. Like, what great racing. I don't think so. I most definitely can't think of anything. And I'd love to see Interlagos replace the last, be the last race of the finale. So, Alonso losing in 2010. Yeah, but the race wasn't great, was it? Alonso ended up getting stuck behind a much slower car. Like, the racing is always very poor at Abu Dhabi. It's always a very poor... I think it's a poor track. I just think it's a poor track. And even with the changes that they've made to it, I just don't think it's... Yeah, money talks, of course, but I just don't think it should be on the calendar, and it should most definitely not be the finale. So, 2021. Yep, I did say excluding the last lap of 2021. Of course, we know what happened, but even the race up to that point was quite boring, wasn't it? Lewis was going to be winning that race by, what, 20-odd seconds, 30-odd seconds? Yes, Perez held him up briefly, but, like, the race itself was boring, wasn't it? Like, and any other race prior to that as well has also been, like, pretty boring as well. Charles last year from last to third. No. Oh, hang on. Oh, who hit the wall there? Was that Piastri? Hang on. Oh, slight little kiss of the wall there for Oscar Piastri, I think that was. 2016. But that was like, what, Lewis had to try and back up Nico Rosberg. And even then, no one could overtake them. Like, just overtaking is just tricky at Abu Dhabi. And it's just like, it's just not a good track. Stop trying to defend it, Dusko. Even on the last lap of 2021, there was literally one overtake. Yeah, exactly. So, and that was only because, like, Max was on, obviously, 2 tyres fresh, on softs compared to hards and stuff. So, like, you need significant tyre advantage to overtake at Abu Dhabi. So, yeah, even with the 2 DRS zones there, it's just not great, is it? So... Right, 32 minutes remaining of this FP1 session. Max Verstappen currently leads the timing screens with a 35.7. Charles Leclerc 35.9. George Russell with a 36.0. Most drivers have done medium compound runs here. Alonso's the only one on the softs, as is Nico Hülkenberg on the hards. Hamilton did improve and move up into P5, so no push laps yet. Drivers doing their own run plans, trying to figure out, obviously, how... obviously... good the balances in the car and tyre warm-up, etc. Of course, we know the McLarens are likely to struggle in relation to the car of Max Verstappen and the Mercedes here. More akin probably to what we expect of what I saw in Baku. That's my prediction. So, yeah. Improvements still, though, to be made by Norris and Piastri. I still expect them to be... As I said, I think a top 5 for Piastri and Norris would be a very good weekend for them. Probably a hot take, but I actually enjoyed driving it on the games. Games to real life, though, is very different, isn't it? Because you can actually have a good race. You can actually have a good race in sim games and F1 games and stuff like that. But in real life, it's obviously a different reality. Hot take, Miami isn't that bad of a track. It's just the celebrities. I disagree. I actually think Miami is a poor racetrack as well. I don't like Miami. I think that also fizzled out really quickly earlier on this year. If you look at it, look, Max, the top 3. Yeah, there was a little battle, wasn't there, earlier on, but then it fizzled out really quickly. I don't think Miami is also a good track, to be honest. We need Istanbul back. I still remember that Vettel overtake from Charles's mistake. Yeah, Istanbul's great, and this is another track as well where we get changeable conditions, and when there's lots of different corners that you can overtake in as well. I love Istanbul. I have, Andrew. Yeah, that was something that I can't remember who said it, but when it was first revealed, the track layout, yeah, everyone kind of had the same thing. That was what was being posted around on social media. Was it looks like an upside down pig? Oh yeah, that's the thing, Dusko. That Alonso running a Renault in Abu Dhabi was the last real memory of screaming engines. Yeah, that wasn't even. That was on a demonstration run, wasn't it? That wasn't a few years ago. That wasn't even the actual race itself. So we have drivers on softs now. Okay, so look, Charles Leclerc is on a set of softs, as is Lewis Hamilton, as is Nico Hulkenberg. So let's see if we'll see some push laps, eh? Isn't Kyalami coming back for 2027 for a year deal? I don't know. There's been rumours about a Kyalami deal for some time. They wanted to get a race in South Africa a few years ago. I think that's one of the main reasons why Spa got extended for a couple of years, is because the promoters couldn't secure the funding for the South Africa race. And then there's also been proposals from the Cape Town, the government or the local government in Cape Town, for a race there, which would be another street circuit that has been designed by Tilke. Is it Tilke, the famous race car designer company? And yeah, it does look like we'll be heading to Africa in some capacity, most likely South Africa. Kyalami is already a purpose-built track, so hopefully we get Kyalami rather than any of the other alternatives in Africa, to be honest. Ferrari pit crew look at the inside rim of tyres, were they? Do a poll which race should be last. You go for Suzuka or Brazil? No, that's an easy win. You don't even need to do a poll for that. It's Interlagos every day of the week should be the finale. Let's see F1 run at this Laguna Seca. That'd be absolutely chaotic. Watching Nico Hulkenberg's onboard as he's driving around the circuit, literally his helmet cam. And I must admit, it is pretty cool to see, like, from a driver's perspective, like the sphere as he's turning into corners and running down that straight into turn 5, where the sphere is based, just inside of turn 6 and turn 7 there. Thoughts on the Massa case today, ruling? Yes, Meat. So I have read into that a little bit, as Lewis Hamilton, by the way, 26.9 in the first sector. Middle sector's slow, though. Oof, even though it's green. He's lost 4 temps there in that middle sector, Lewis Hamilton, compared to Carlos Sainz. So, bit of a moment, maybe, for Lewis Hamilton in the middle sector. Let's see... Did he have a lock-up somewhere? Let's see how he goes. Got a nice cheeky little toe from Esteban Ocon as he makes his way across the start-finish line. And it's fastest. Only 2 temps quicker, though. He lost a lot of time in the middle sector. Only 12th fastest. So, not great there. Yeah, the Massa case ruling. So, I need to dig into it some more. But he basically is not able to they've ruled basically that the championship will not be overturned, but he has the right to go to court for like conspiracy reasons, and that he will probably get a payout, basically, or he could get a payout. That's what my understanding of it is, my very basic understanding of it. So, yeah, it's not a simple case of because he's going to court, he's going to get the championship overturned. I think that possibility has disappeared. It's now about financials, about loss of revenue and damages. So, yeah. Because the whole thing is based around an interview from a couple of years ago where Bernie Ecclestone said that they knew that they would have to have annulled and basically removed Singapore result from the calendar and allow the rest of the races to remain. But they didn't do that. So, yeah. Can anyone explain why it's FP1 instead of FP3? Because FP3 happens Saturday morning. Charles Leclerc there goes fastest with 35.281. Couple of attempts quicker in the middle sector. He was slower in the last sector compared to his teammate, but the middle sector is where he gained time. He gained a tenth and a half in the middle sector on Lewis, so Lewis had a bit of a slow middle sector. Oh, the mechanics have their the mechanics are looking at the underside of one of the McLarens. I don't know if it's Lando or Oscar. So they're checking to see the status, checking something on the floor of Lando's car, I think it is. Looks like it's Lando's car, so. People are still on about Crashgate. Yeah, it will be discussed a little bit more, Andrew. Yeah, it will be because Massa's got it going through the courts right now. So. Hey, Claire. Was cooking dinner, but glad to join in. Vegas, baby. Excited, but worried about the weather. You disagree that accident could have happened, even not rigged. my whole thing about it, and I guess it's the same for the FIA as well, is that, look, even if they annulled that race when, let's say, I don't know if they, I don't know the actual details behind it, but let's say they knew that, let's say that they knew before the next race in that season, after Singapore, that what happened there was done on purpose. I don't know the timeline of events. So if that's the case, let's say they annulled Singapore, right? There was still, what, 6 rounds of racing? Was it like 6 or 7 rounds left in the championship that year? Like it was quite a significant amount, quite a big proportion of the season remaining. There's so many different variables and permutations to how that end of that season could have gone. And I don't think it's a very different circumstance and scenario than compared to 2021, where that was a single decision that happened that affected literally the last lap of a 24 race season, which culminated in obviously a fundamental advantage and disadvantage to two of the drivers fighting for the championship, and a rule obviously being broken intentionally. So there was no other time for any more kind of variables, and many things to change, and that's why, in my opinion, it's very different. So. The only reason it's a major talking point is because it's a single point win. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the only reason it is a major talking point. And I still think that doesn't really hold up because there's just so many things that could have happened after that. Like, you don't know the butterfly effect. If the Singapore race is annulled, then what happens after that? Who is the best F1 driver ever? I don't think there is a single best F1 driver ever. It maybe is a bit of a cop-out answer. And we've discussed this on stream before. But I think... Oh, Lewis had a very slow middle sector there. I think he got held up behind a bit of traffic going through turn 7 and turn 8. As Charles improves again, by the way, 35-1. But I think you have to give... Like with all sportsmen, to be honest with you, sports change, particularly F1, with just obviously how the cars have changed and sports science and things like that. I think you have to look at drivers and sportsmen as the greatest of their eras, of their time, because sports changes at the end of the day. Obviously, you can always look at statistics and so forth, but I think statistics aren't always the be-all and end-all. Of course, they're a very good barometer, and you can use them as an argument for sure. But I think you have to look at, like, football as well. People will say Messi is the greatest of all time, but then you didn't watch Maradona, you didn't watch Pele, you didn't watch, like, the football in the 90s, and it wasn't like the greatest of all time doesn't necessarily mean playing like just scoring goals. And obviously with F1 it's very different because you can look at championships and race wins. But Lewis Hamilton, by the way, is going purple in every single, since he's put on the soft tyres, he's gone purple in every single first sector. And then he keeps catching traffic in the middle sector. And he just cannot get a clean lap in. Manuel Fangio, yeah, exactly. He was a great of his time as well. This is multi-viewer. It's multi-viewer. Your top three are Schumacher, Verstappen, Hamilton, Tide, and Vettel. Yeah, that's Fez. Yeah, that's definitely Fez. I mean, look, I don't comment too much on drivers that I was never able to witness. So Senna, Prost, Mansell, obviously, yeah, Clark, Fangio, like all those drivers, Hunt, Lauda. I wasn't alive for some of them, and of course, I was very young when some of those drivers were winning championships. So I only really comment on, even Schumacher I don't comment too much on because I was interested in the sport and I watched it, but I didn't have a good understanding of the sport because I was young. So yeah, I don't comment on them too much. But you can obviously appreciate like what through clips and stories and just like statistics as well of how much better they were than their competitors. Just to know how good they were in those eras. Old school is more about the drivers with less electronics. Oh, yellow. Hamilton's gone wide. They're through there. Hopefully it's just wide. We've seen drivers use the escape road there through turn 12. Yeah, and he's got going again. So Max Verstappen should still be on a flying lap here, on a push lap. Let's see as he makes his way through turn 12, sorry. And a 32.0. So maybe lost a bit of time in the middle sector, or he might have just lifted a little bit there, knowing that the yellow flag was up ahead of him. But he wasn't necessarily entitled to lift there. As Charles Leclerc is going green in the first, he's green in the second. So Charles Leclerc could be improving again here, giving all the Tifosi a bit of hope heading into this weekend so that it can just be snatched straight away from you, like it so often has done this season. Jackie Stewart as well, apologies. Oh, Max did go quickest there. Wow. And Charles does improve. Oh, 4 thousandths of a second between Max and Charles. That's tasty. Can't compare eras. Exactly. And I think that's like, it's the same with golf. Like, I'm a big golfer. There's always a discussion of Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. I wasn't around when Jack Nicklaus was playing golf. Obviously, I've seen the clips and I know the stories, and I've seen the footage and so forth, and the records speak for themselves. Like, he was a league above like some great golfers, like Arnold Palmer and Gary Player, like the big three at the time. Like, he was definitely the best of them, and then you had Tiger come along and obviously transformed the sport, and he was like the one that I watched growing up. And of course, statistically speaking, he's not as good as Jack Nicklaus because he's 3 majors short. But many consider him to be the greatest of all time. But they're both the greatest of all time, particularly in their eras as well. So, and as I mean, like the game back then, the courses they played were very different. Like the lengths and the clubs and the ball, like the equipment, the court, like just everything has changed so dramatically from when Jack Nicklaus was playing to when Tiger was playing. So, things like that. What's my name? Scott. The people yearn for another Verstappen-Leclerc race battle. It would be interesting. I hope we do get something at the front. I hope we do. I mean, remember, these two went into turn 1 last year. Was it like, no, was it 2020? It was the first year, wasn't it? Okay, Yuki. Okay, Yuki. A 35-0. Faster than Verstappen and faster than Leclerc. just turned the engine up there, didn't they, for Yuki? Not to take anything away from him, but... Bortolesso, yellow flag infringements. So Lewis Hamilton watching his lock up, no doubt, into turn... Yeah, big front left lock up into turn 12, which is why he had to take to the escape road there, Lewis Hamilton. I am British. Did you really need to ask that? Surely you could hear it from my accent. You grew up watching Sevi Ballesteros, Lee Trevino, Gary Platt. You was very young, but my dad played off scratch. You got to +4 in your 30s. I remember you saying that, Stevie. You got to +4. Yeah, man, getting to +4 was obscene. You must have been playing a lot of golf as well to get to +4. Right, so Lewis has just got held up again. Another, look at that. Lewis fastest again in the first sector, and then he just cannot get a decent middle sector in. He just keeps catching traffic. Yuki needs a job for 2026. He does indeed, Marge. Will he have one, though? Well, I think he will have a job. It just might not be on the grid next year. I still... Oh, who's that? Is that Norris who's gone? Yeah, Norris to the escape road as well, I think, through turn 12. Or at least slowed down to let Yuki through. Oh, Leclerc takes the fastest lap time back from Yuki Tsunoda. So you can see here that times are just getting quicker and quicker and quicker here, guys, as, of course, these softs can do multiple laps on the same set due to, obviously, just how cold the track temperature is. 18 degrees. That's like the coldest we've seen all year. And, of course, the track evolution here is also plays a big part. So track evolution, these combined with what I've just said about the track temperatures and the tyres not taking a while to get up to their peak temperature and the peak window. We're going to see lap times go quicker and quicker. So, Lewis, can you finally set a clean lap? Let's see. So, he's got purple in every single first sector that he's done on a push lap on this set of softs. Fastest of anyone thus far, 26.7. And that's not bad. That's only a couple of hundred slower than the fastest. So, even though that's yellow, that's still really quick, and that's actually quicker than Yuki's. That would be third fastest at the moment. So Lewis Hamilton finally has a clear middle sector ahead of him. Let's see what he can do. Here we go. So watch Lando Norris. Yeah, Lando just had to take to the escape road. So here we go. Lewis Hamilton through turn 12. And it's a 32.057. So he still can't improve in that middle sector, Lewis. He's losing a lot of time in the middle sector. So something needs to be done with Lewis there in that middle sector, whether it's his driving or if it's something to do with the car and the way that they've got it set up. Do I believe in Sky Sports bias on British drivers? Yeah, I believe there's some bias. They're a British broadcaster presented by British people. So, yeah, you're always going to naturally have some bias. You try and be as fair as possible, of course. It's the same as how Dutch broadcasters are going to have just kind of a natural bias towards Max, and Spanish broadcasters to Alonso, and any other kind of, and signs and things like that. So Australians, look at the Australians, they're 100% biased towards Oscar Piastri, and there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest with you. There are times to be unbiased, of course, but I have no issue with people being biased and supporting who they want to support. I think it's better to be open about it and say you want a certain driver to do well and that you support them rather than not, because at least like people understand where you're coming from. But I do think it's overly, the whole British bias thing is just something that is overused as, what's the right word? An attack, really, on just hearing something that that fans just don't like, whether it be a form of criticism that is very valid on their driver, or whether if it's something that is a bit of support for a British driver, because it just so happens to be. I think for the most part, Sky does a very good job of trying to be unbiased. Of course, they have their moments and they have their slip-ups, but I think watching Sky, I think they do have, I think they do their best. You like my channel? It's very chill, non-biased for the most part and most stuff. Thank you, mate. As I've said here, the only driver I'm an active fan of and who I am always following up and down the grid is Lewis Hamilton. There's other drivers that I like and some drivers that I don't like as much. But Lewis is the only one. I've watched him since he came into the sport. Of course, like I was a lot younger when he joined the sport as well. I was still in school, although coming to the end of school. And yeah, he's the only driver that I actively follow and want to do particularly well. But I don't absolve him of criticism. If he does something wrong, if he does something stupid, and he has the bad day at the office, then I will call it for what it is. I'm not blind. In your opinion, every broadcaster is biased. Yeah, they are to some extent. So, I'm Scottish, so that means I'm biased towards anyone but England. Of course you are, Stuart. That's taught in school, isn't it? In Scotland? There's a whole module on how to support anyone, that any team that England is up against in any sport. Alex Albon up there to the P2 right now. So track is getting quicker. Track temperature has fallen to 18 degrees now. It was pushing 19 at the start of this session, so nearly a degree cooler. Andy Murray's British when he won, Scottish when he lost, yeah. Bias is inevitable, nothing, and no one is free of it. Exactly. The only reason Sky being even slightly biased is annoying is that they have full control over F1 broadcast in the UK. It would be a lot less frustrating if we could access F1 TV. Well, they have full broadcasting in the sense of like commentary, but in the actual footage and stuff that is shown, that is fully on F1 and the guys' trackside. But I don't know. I think they do. I think you can. To be honest, I think there's certain drivers when they analyze. I would probably say, actually, this is my viewpoint on Sky. I would actually say that the one corporation, you could probably see where I'm going with this. I actually think really that Sky is too biased in favour of the FIA. And I think they give the FIA too much leeway when it comes to criticism. And they just do not go in hard enough on the FIA. They very much try to like go, oh, well, they try and do a good job. The stewards, they try to do a very good job here. Whereas I think there's only it's only Nico Rosberg who literally comes out and goes, that was despicable. That was he's the only person who has really the balls to call anyone out, regardless of their standing. Jenson Button doesn't even do that. And I think there needs to be more of that, to be honest. But I guess they want to hold on to a paddock pass. Like, do you want to bite the hand that feeds you? And of course, they all have. That's the beauty of me, is that I don't have an employer. FIA, Liberty Media aren't my employer, so I can say what I want about them and not worry about repercussions in relation to having a paddock pass removed or my job being at risk. Obviously, having access to drivers and so forth. So, yeah, that's really where I would say they are mostly biased, is in favour of the FIA and kind of the stewards and things like that. And I don't think they're harsh enough when it comes to some horrendous decisions. McLaren on long runs, not right now. I mean, they did do a couple of push laps. They'll try to. I think they're on the softs, aren't they? Leclerc's back on some long runs. He's back onto the mediums. So we've seen some push laps now. Interesting that Lewis couldn't improve in that middle sector. I'll bring up the sector times in a moment. But Lewis quite slow. He's in the bottom 5 when it comes to the second sector. So yeah, not. I don't know if it's driver error. I think it is driver error. I think there's something that he's not quite comfortable with that car in the middle sector. But clearly has a quick car in the middle and in the first sector. But when it comes to the middle and the last, he's losing a bit of time, especially compared to his teammate. Other than F1, which sports would I like to watch? Why do I watch other sports? I watch football, soccer. I support West Ham United in the Premier League. I have done throughout my whole life. I watch lots of golf as well. Big golfer. Used to be a professional golfer. Used to coach. And what else do I watch? I watch a bit of tennis every now and then, like the big tournaments. I love my sports. Darts as well. Love the darts. Yeah, I'm a big sports fan. Will I watch the Ashes? I won't watch it, no. I will probably watch highlights and I will keep an eye on it. I'm not a big fan of cricket, to be honest with you. It's a sport that I kind of just keep an eye on when it comes to England and how they're getting on in like the big events. But yeah, I can't sit there and watch cricket for days on ends. It's never been my sport. But I'll keep an eye on the scores because, of course, I want England to win. But yeah, other than that, that's it. You'd like to apologise for Logan Sargent. You're sorry. Please forgive you. No apologies needed. Look, he got an opportunity, and it just... anyone who's given an opportunity, they need to try and make the most out of it. But for him, sometimes it's just a step too far. Just not cut out for it. It's a different level, F1. You may be good in junior formulas, but when you step up to the big leagues, just can't quite cut it. And that was the case for Logan Sargent. Oh, yellow again. Ollie Behrman off. Did I see the judges ruling on Massa? Yeah, I did see that. I need to dig more into it, but yeah, we were just discussing it briefly not too long ago. The FIA, though, won't accept public criticism. They will punish revoke access, so maybe it's not bias, it's standard. Yeah, it is. I mean, look, Will... Oh, what's his name again? Fuck's sake, I can't remember his name. Who is the F1 TV presenter? Who's on Drive to Survive? What's his name, guys? Will... Is it Will something? Please tell me who it is. I can't remember his name. Buxton, that's the one. Thank you. Will Buxton. He came out, so he's now working for IndyCar. He left F1 employment. Obviously worked directly for F1 TV. And he came out and said in a tweet that someone said to him, why was you not... I think he was criticising the stewards or something like that. Something that happened in F1 this season. And someone replied to him, why was you not this vocal about 2021 as an example? And he basically came back and said, I had basically a family to support and I wasn't going to bite the hand that feeds me. So there you go. He was under contract and he wasn't going to come out and speak openly and criticise his employer, basically, as much as he had his own personal opinions on it. Yeah. That's it at the end of the day, isn't it? They're all there. They're all there to do a job. They're all there to earn bills. They're not there, all these broadcasters and stuff. They're not earning... Yes, they're very well paid to probably the average person, but they're not multi-millionaires. They're not earning like these racing drivers are, like tens of millions of pounds a year, where they could be in a luxury position to not worry about being fired. They have to pay the bills, and just like all of us do, and support their families. And I get it. I do get it. And that's the beauty of having not being tied to that, is that you can call it out as a fan. So if he spoke out a little bit too much about the FIA, exactly, he would have been pushed out. And you can definitely see that when it comes to analysis on Sky in particular. I think Anthony Davison does a very good job at trying to be as unbiased as possible. And I think Karun does kind of... I think Karun, because he actively does work, I think, with the FIA, he has worked with them in relation to track design and things like that. He helped redesign the changes to the Yas Marina circuit, Abu Dhabi. So he's more actively involved with, and probably a lot closer to those within the FIA. And I do see him, when it comes to his analysis, particularly with stewarding decisions, he is not... He tries to avoid criticism, like, at all. And it is just like, starting to show, buddy. Starting to show that you've obviously got quite close ties to those within F1. So Kind of a shame the breakaway series is over 10 years ago now. Let's go RB. Yeah, guys, off to a great start. Yeah, RB not bad. Lawson there, P12. Who's my Rookie of the Year leader? Still Isaac Hadjar. Still Isaac Hadjar, yeah. I still don't think there's anything... I still don't really think there's anything that Behrman, Bortoletto... I don't think there's anything that any of the rookies can do, even Kimi. Unless Kimi won, like, here and won the last 3 races of the year. I don't think there's anything other than that would replace Isaac Hadjar as my Rookie of the Year, to be honest with you. There we go, checkered flag. I think Hadjar has been the most consistent. I'll do a video at the end of the year. Once the season's finished, of course, we'll do our season review and we'll have a look back at my predictions from the start of the year and how probably very wrong I was. And we'll do some ratings, particularly, obviously, who was the best rookie. Do some breakdowns of, obviously, their overall performances. Look at it from a statistics perspective, because people forget races and performances from a very long season. It's a very long season, 24 race season, and recency bias is very much a thing. And consistency over a 24 race season is massively key. So you can have those peaks, as all the rookies have done. They've had those peaks, but how bad were their lows, and how long did those lows last for? Albon spun. Yeah, he's only gone through to turn 12. There's an escape road. And when there's a yellow flag there, it's best to assume that they've just used the escape road and they're spun round. And I've just seen that on the TV coverage as well through Alex Albon. So Google says some studies show about 34k with the highest earners making up to 166k, although F1 does not seem to disclose salaries. No, that would only be through people who have obviously informed certain websites and recruiters and stuff when they've left F1. Yeah, look, it's like anything with like TV production and things like that. There's always people on more money than others, and it's the same in F1 as well. Like engineers don't even earn... I say they don't even earn a lot. I've heard like engineers earn something like 70k a year if they're kind of lucky. And then the only way to earn more money is if you go into like kind of a more senior role. So considering the amount of hours that they do and all that traveling and things like that, 70k actually isn't a lot, to be completely honest with you. Yes, you get your expenses paid and things like that, but being an F1 engineer is quite a role, like quite a intensive role, and the hours as well, and obviously everything that goes into it. Like it's not just them in the pit crew, like in the pits. There's stuff that they have to do back at the factory as well, and have input in. So yeah, that's not a lot really for the job that they actually do. That's what I heard. Maybe obviously it depends on which team they're at, of course, and so forth, and probably how long they've been there. There's all those different variables, but yeah. 70k will be for more senior engineer roles. Potentially, yeah. That's what I mean. It's so varied. It is so varied, but it's not as lucrative as you think it is for, compared to, like, obviously the drivers earn a shit ton. They do, and the team principals do. But when you make your way down to just kind of those who are just like, yes, important parts of the team, but those within the garage, those back at the factory, like, yeah, they're just earning a wage. Most are paid 35 to 45k. I would expect probably more than that, to be honest with you. I think that's low, but I think that's low. Considering maybe if you're entry level, but I think knowing, even in construction, knowing kind of what trainees get and assistants get, assistant level gets in construction, I would expect in F1 for them to be paid more than that, to be fair. But Anywho, it just shows, doesn't it, that everyone's got an employer, everyone's got bills to pay, and there's only a few who are fortunate enough positions, even in broadcasting, to say what they want, and that's why Nico Rosberg can come in and say what he wants on Sky, because he's not worried about the money. He doesn't need that job, and he does it because he likes to do it. Hence why he only does a few races a year. and he's not beholden to a paddock pass in F1 by criticising the FIA and drivers. So, but anywho, guys, that is it for this session for FP1. Thank you for tuning in. I will not be around for FP2. I will be going to sleep right now because I have a whole day's of work ahead of me still. So I will be around for FP3 and qualifying, which will be at 4 a.m. and of course the race on Sunday, UK Sunday. Obviously, those of you in the US, it will be Saturday. So yeah, Charles Leclerc fastest there with a 1:34.8. He has gone well here in the past, of course. Qualified on pole position when it came to the first time we arrived here in 2023. But can that Ferrari continue its pace throughout this weekend? We've been here before, guys, where Ferrari have been towards the top of the timing screens on a Friday, and we know how that plays out. You can't fool me 22 times. We're in round 22. We've been through it too many times now, Ferrari. Albon P2. Expect the Williams to go well here, just like they did in Baku. Tsunoda P3, Verstappen P4. No doubt saving that spicy engine that is in the back of that Red Bull that helped him get from the pit lane to podium in Brazil on Sunday. Sainz in P5, Norris P6, Hadjar P7, Piastri P8, Russell and Antonelli 10th. Hamilton 11th, Gasly 12th, Lawson 13th, Alonso 14th, Stroll 15th, Behrman 16th, Ocon 17th, Hulkenberg 18th, Bortoletto 19th, and Colapinto 20th. So that was an unrepresentative session as well, guys. FP2, have a look at those times. We'll review them for FP3 tomorrow because that is the representative practice session for this weekend, as it always is, as it's held at the same time of day that qualifying and the race will be held. So that will be, when we see push laps, that'll be more representative. So keep an eye on those. But good starts this weekend. A few drivers locking up into turn 12, as we expected, struggling with those tyre temperatures. Interestingly, but the track temperature just increased to 19.5 degrees. What's happened there? That's very interesting. 19.5 degrees. It just shot up a degree and a half. So, Nico Rosberg 6 things to just happen. Nobody else dares to say exactly. What is up with Lewis? Well, let's have a look. Just quick sector times before we go. So Lewis Hamilton fastest in the first sector, but then look at the middle sector. He's 16th fastest. This is where it's going wrong for Lewis at the moment. I don't know if this is by design or if he's genuinely trying through there, or I don't know. More fuel in the car. Who knows? But evidently, he's got that car working well in the first sector, but then second sector is just struggling, and then it carries on into the last sector as well. So, especially when compared to his teammate, who is fastest in the second, and second fastest in the third. So, not sure you blame Lewis. I think his engineering strategists aren't behind him. Management engineer. There's lots of fundamental issues with Ferrari, to be perfectly honest with you. Communication is a big one that people picked up on early on. And look, the crux of it is that if you make a poor car, you're going to struggle. If you have a quick car, you can kind of overlook the other areas that are lacking. Strategy, communication, but they've got a flawed car, as we know, and that's put Lewis, of course, on the back foot this year. It's made his last year of these regulations look probably the worst of the four, and Charles Leclerc has also been very critical as well, hence the comments by John Elkann, and it seems to have got a lot of the internal Ferrari team's back up. Lots of rumours coming out that long-term engineers there who have been there for many years they've ruffled some feathers. They're not happy with the comments from Lewis and Charles, and hence why John Elkann has come out and said the engineers have been doing a great job this year and the drivers need to close their mouths and speak less. It just shows how out of touch he is of the day-to-day running of that team. So, but anywho, thank you everyone. It's been a pleasure. Oh, we will be back tomorrow. Why is there no chat box there? We'll be back tomorrow for FP3. It's going to send you straight over to that stream so you can hit the like button and hit notifications. I'm going to go get some sleep. and we will catch you tomorrow for a busy day with FP3 and qualifying. So yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you then. Bye.